What's up, y'all? So let's talk about this week in the Trump presidency. So, first thing I want to talk about is Trump has officially got rid of Doge. So, if you remember, Doge was the Department of Government Efficiency, which was ran by Elon Musk, who had a chance to be president for the first 6, 7 months out of the year, where he was just cutting programs and was supposed to have saved or projected. He said that he would save about $2 million in waste, fraud, and abuse, and all of the cuts that you saw, all of the layoffs and jobs being lost, and Elon Musk's kind of enjoyment of these moments. But it has been dismantled, and the final tally of cuts or savings, or however you describe it, is somewhere in the neighborhood of $14 billion. Not even close to the 2 trillion that Elon Musk said was out there and could be cut and trimmed from the government's budget, and all of this waste, fraud, and abuse that was supposedly within the government. They could only find $14 billion, not the $2 trillion. So obviously it is a total, I won't call it a disaster, but the Doge program had 8 more months to go before it was supposed to be dismantled, but it's being dismantled early. And that should tell you that all of this conversation about waste, fraud, and abuse was just words, just talking points, just propaganda to, justify cutting programs and cutting people's jobs. Interesting that the marriage between Elon Musk ended as quickly as it started. So stay tuned with that. The next thing is the boat strikes in Venezuela and the reports that there was a second strike on a boat. Now, the military and international law says that if there is a strike and the survivors of the strike are incapacitated or no longer a threat, that you have to capture them as prisoners, but you do not shoot unarmed and non-threatening combatants. So it was reported that on the first Venezuela boat strike, all of the people on the boat did not die, and that there were some folks who were hanging on the edge of the destroyed boat, presumably to be saved. However, it was ordered to shoot the boat again, which is supposed to be against international law. So what's interesting is about 2 weeks ago, there was all of this conversation about the video that these 6 Democrats created about the military not following unlawful orders. And we see that if these reports are true, that the military did carry out some unlawful orders, which is illegal and could possibly get these soldiers and commanders arrested. And for comparison, and one of the reasons why these international laws and rules of engagement are in place is so if our American soldiers are shot down and captured and things of that nature, that they are not handled in a barbaric way. And these rules of engagement actually came into play in World War II, where there were some American soldiers who were wounded, no longer a threat, and they were captured by the Japanese. They were court-martialed. I don't know if it's called court-martial, but they were tried and convicted and executed for this act. So a big deal, violating international law and double tapping, as they call it, enemy combatant. So stay tuned. There's supposed to be a congressional hearing. I believe that there will be some questions to the admiral who was the officer in charge during this particular strike. But interesting. The whole Venezuela boat strikes is just a ridiculous. It's just a ridiculous way to even make an attempt to stop drug smuggling from Central America, South America, these supposedly speedboats that are carrying what the military is saying is drugs. And even if it is drugs, I mean, there's never been the death penalty for selling, distributing drugs in the United States. It's just not how we've approached this war on drugs, if you want to call it that. But blowing these boats up, which anyone that sees a map of South America knows that one of these speedboats is almost impossible for them to reach the United States shore. Our closest kind of like shore point might be Florida, Miami, but these small speedboats that most of us have written on do not have the capacity to get from Venezuela to anywhere close to the United States. There's a myriad of countries that they have to like navigate through and around just to be able to get anywhere close to the United States. There's literally no way that these boats were headed to the United States. However, we cannot definitively say they were or weren't because we just kill people. When you actually capture people, interrogate them, get information, then you can actually determine what actually happened. And I think people will swallow that, and people will understand that there's a due process and rules that need to be followed. If we just kill people, then we won't even really get to the source. If we're saying that we're fighting drug smugglers, then these folks that are on these boats are the lowest of low-level traffickers in the organization. There's no kingpins or anybody of any real value that will be on these boats, and you can imagine how low on a drug smuggling totem pole you would have to be on one of these boats that there's a high possibility that it can be shot down by the U.S. military. Like, who wants to sign up for that type of a suicide mission? I have to believe that if a boat is gonna get blown out of the water, the last person is gonna be on it is anyone of any value in these organizations. So, kind of like a ridiculous. Just ridiculous actions by the United States and our United States government. I think most people understand that this is more to antagonize Venezuela. In my opinion, to antagonize Venezuela. Trump has issues with the Venezuelan government, the Venezuelan president, and there are some theories out there that says because Venezuela has the world's largest oil reserve, that is a reason why Trump is antagonizing Venezuela, threatening Venezuela. Trump has threatened to use the military to bomb certain places within Venezuela that they feel as though may be connected to the drug trade. So, don't really believe that it has much to do with the war on drugs. However, this is what the Trump administration is saying, that there's so many overdose on different drugs, and this is the reason why they have to crack down in this manner. So, according to the government, this is done for to protect us from drug smugglers. However, Trump just pardoned himself a drug smuggler. So Trump has pardoned the former president of Honduras, Juan Orlando Hernandez, who was the president of Honduras from 2014 to 2022, and he was convicted in an American court of conspiring to conspiring to transport over 400 tons of cocaine from Honduras to the United States. And to give you kind of like a comparison, in 2023, these are the last numbers that the FBI has. The United States seized 36 tons of cocaine in a year of 2023. This former president of Venezuela was convicted of trafficking over 400 tons of cocaine to the United States. That he accepted millions of dollars in bribes from drug gangs, including El Chapo, to be able to use Honduras as a midway point to be able to traffic drugs up through Mexico or through the United States. But Trump gave him a full and unconditional pardon. So on one hand, you have Venezuelan boats being shot out of the sea and threats of military action on the soils of Venezuela. You contrast that with pardoning a guy who has been convicted in an American court where evidence had to be presented, was found guilty, and was sentenced to 45 years in jail. Trump pardons this person, and what the reason that Trump gave was he had been told that this person was mistreated, that the evidence wasn't there, or things of that nature. But it looks like in order to qualify for a Trump pardon, you have to be rich. You have to have money and power and influence, and or it has to be a crime that was prosecuted while Joe Biden was in office. Those seem to be the criteria that Trump is giving out his pardons per se. Another thing with Trump has rolled back regulations on coal-fired power plants. And coal-fired power plants, which is a very small percentage of power plants, do use coal-fired. Trump is rolling back the regulations on how much soot these power plants can produce. It's mostly in place only for those power plants that produce the most soot into our air. So Trump has asked to roll back some of these regulations. Why would you want to roll back environmental protection regulations is beyond me. It seems like someone somewhere has to have cut a check to Trump, or someone in Trump's administration for you to just want to roll back environmental protection regulations. It just doesn't make any sense. So that's something to see if it's going to be accepted, but that is something that Trump is proposing, to roll back some of these regulations on coal-fired power plants. Another thing Trump has done this week is he has restricted homelessness funding for veterans, families, and the disabled. So the Continuing of Care Act in 1987, signed into law by the wokest president in the history of all mankind, Ronald Reagan. Nah, I'm joking. But yes, it was signed into law by Ronald Reagan, and it is designed to give homeless, veterans, families, disabled a jump start in purchasing a home. And it is projected to limit about 170,000 people from getting housing. So the program, which is very cheap for the United States to operate, something like $3 billion. But it does in a world and in a country where the cost of housing is so expensive. and the cost of living is also expensive, that these programs that are designed to give people some assistance in purchasing a house, Trump just said none of that. We are restricting the funding to this particular program. So if you're one of those people who believe that the government just should not help its citizens, and you're like, oh, you're a veteran, you might have some mental emotional issues, it's hard to find a job that is comparable to what you were doing in the military, you're disabled, you have whatever, just fuck out of here. Y'all need to get this shit on your own, and there's no assistance even for the people that have risked their lives for the freedoms that we have here in these United States. So stay tuned for that one. The next one is Trump has created a new gun rights office, which is within the Civil Rights Unit of the Department of Justice. Actually sounds kind of ridiculous, but if someone's Second Right Amendment is being challenged or taken away in some way, the protections of that amendment and gun rights are now falling under the Civil Rights Unit division, which in itself is kind of ridiculous. Civil Rights Division is supposed to be about making sure that the citizens' rights are not violated, and more specifically that Black citizens' rights are not violated. But Trump has pretty much, he's pretty much dismantled so many things within the Department of Justice that is supposed to assist and help its citizens when there are questions about whether or not they are being treated fairly. I mean, the Department of Justice was created for that point. And some of the things that Trump has done within the Department of Justice is, he's gotten rid of all environmental justice programs at the EPA. Now, what does that mean? When you think of like Black people who have traditionally been kind of put into areas of cities, areas of towns that have had a lot of pollution, and giving some protections that you're not going to be, that a power plant is not, stuck in your backyard, or coal plant is not stuck in your backyard, and you have no recourse. And the environmental justice program is what would give you some recourse. And we see that different industries, different companies have built harmful factories and power plants, things of that nature, right next to Black and brown neighborhoods. So Trump has dismantled that. He's had a huge cuts to the voting rights enforcement. So if you have issue voting rights, you have nowhere to really call. Has fired national security prosecutors. He's fired all the inspector generals. Inspector generals are supposed to be unbiased kind of referees to make sure that within these departments there's someone that is kind of looking to make sure that there isn't fraud, abuse, and waste and things of that nature. So Trump has got rid of that. He has completely stopped prosecuting civil rights cases in the entire country. So if you're a Black person and you were fired because you were Black, guess what? You have nowhere to go. They are not prosecuting any civil rights cases at all in the Department of Justice. So very, very, very interesting how Trump has dismantled the Department of Justice. But please stay tuned with that. The next thing is that Trump has terminated 350,000 Haitians protective status. So a protective status is when you physically cannot return to your country. Let's say you were a refugee and you came to the United States, you were fleeing political violence or things of that nature. Say you are in Ukraine and Russia is dropping bombs and you're trying to get out of there, or in this case, Haiti, where unfortunately we've heard the reports and seen the stories about Haiti, how its capital is ran by gangs and it's just terrible over there right now. And by ending this protective status, these folks can be deported and deported back to the very place where they have found issues with, and it's dangerous, and these folks could possibly get killed or worse. But Trump is also threatening to remove the protective status of Ukrainians and also South Sudanese, who obviously Ukraine is in a war with Russia. Russia just dropped, I think yesterday, Russia sent I think 80 bombs and like a couple hundred drone strikes just yesterday in Ukraine. So he's possibly going to be sending those people back. Then you have South Sudanese, who shares a border with Sudan, and we all know what's going on over there. It's absolutely terrible what's going on over there in Sudan, which naturally will spill into South Sudan. Next thing is Trump has stopped all non-citizens from receiving SNAP benefits. Now, let's make sure we understand what this means. So a non-citizen is not an illegal immigrant. So what happens is, Republican talking point, Trump's talking point is that anyone that's not a U.S. citizen is an illegal immigrant. You can be an immigrant and not be here illegal. You can be a non-citizen but still receive some benefits just by living in the country. And when we think of non-citizens, you think of immigrants who are under some type of status. So you have things like legal residents, green card holders, people with visas, protective status like the Haitians, and these folks are such a small part of people who are receiving SNAP benefits, people who are possibly working their way towards being citizens. And you could just imagine being from another country, maybe not even speaking the language, maybe having a hard time finding employment, things of that nature. And these programs are designed to give you a little cushion while you're here, settling things and settling into the United States, way of life. So, like I said, Trump is going to be stripping all non-citizens of SNAP benefits, and these aren't even folks that they're not, like I said, they're not illegal immigrants, they're not undocumented. These are folks who have immigration status, and Trump is saying, "Nah, fuck out of here. Y'all can't, y'all can't purchase that bag of chips." It's kind of crazy. Another thing is Trump is sending 500 more National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. This is in response to the 2 National Guard troops who were shot. Unfortunately, one died of his wounds by a person who was admitted into the country as an Afghan refugee after our withdrawal from Afghanistan. And this person came to the United States, I think, in 2021. So they've been here for a number of years. They had no criminal record. They weren't on anybody's watch list or anything like that. They had an asylum claim that they filed last year, and it was accepted this year during the Trump administration. So this person is someone that has followed the processes of filing, seeking asylum, going through all of these processes to possibly be not only allowed to stay here as someone whose asylum is accepted, but to become a part of the American life. They've brought their families are here and things of that nature. So as a result of that, Trump is halting all immigration from Afghanistan and any other country that he calls a third world country. And it's very kind of interesting that because this guy is an immigrant, he's not a person that was born into the United States. Now, the entire population of Afghan immigrants, refugees, anyone with protected status is now going to be, I guess, double checked, triple checked. These folks have been vetted previously, so in the Trump administration's eyes, these people weren't vetted properly. However, there's no evidence that they weren't vetted properly. There's no evidence that these folks did not go through a rigorous process in order to bring them over here, regardless of what Trump has said. So, canceling or halting immigration is something that Trump is really a play. It's really from the first administration playbook. When you think of no travel, like travel ban on Muslims and other different countries, what Trump will call shithole countries and things of that nature. Just all of those things are just it's just an extension of those policies, perspectives, and ideology from the first Trump administration. Now, instead of the air quote boogeyman being Muslim countries, now the boogeyman is immigrations and immigrants. If you notice, in the first Trump administration, wasn't a lot of conversation about immigrants from any place other than the southern border. So to make that change lets you see kind of how Trump is kind of extending his what I would call bigoted racist practices within the United States. The next thing I want to talk about is just Trump canceling all of Joe Biden's executive orders, which is something that all presidents do. Like, executive orders are only used while the president is in office. Executive orders are not supposed to be used in order to govern the country. Executive orders mean that these particular bills or orders that you either don't want it to go through the process of the House, the Senate, and then the president signing it, that you'll just sign these things into order, but they are all temporary. So whenever a president leaves office, most of the executive orders are canceled when the president leaves office. But the reason why Trump is saying that he wants to cancel these orders is because he's saying that these orders were done by Joe Biden using an auto pen. And when you think of what an auto pen is, I mean, every president uses an auto pen. It's just a mechanical device that simulates a president's signature. It can be used for a lot of different official presidential processes and things that need to be signed. So all presidents use it. What Trump is really trying to say is that Biden did not know of some of these executive orders and pardons, and there were just people within the Biden administration that were just using this auto pen to sign things that Biden was not aware of. Now, you may think, wow, that sounds pretty interesting, that there's been wide reports, and we've seen it with our own eyes, about Joe Biden and just his getting older and things of that nature. I do think it was probably a bit overblown. If not, then we need to be taking that same energy to Trump as he falls asleep in the Oval Office. However, there was a Republican-led investigation in the House that found no evidence that Biden did not know of all of these orders and pardons that were done within his administration, especially the last 6 months. So Trump is, in many ways, just an extension of the attacks that he has used against Biden, since they became political rivals, and just more of an extension of that. But very kind of funny that Trump would say that Biden was not aware of some of these pardons, where Trump himself has not been aware of a couple of pardons that have happened under his watch. So, last thing I want to just mention is how much Trump has spent on golf trips this year so far. So he spent 107,800,000 on golf trips so far this year. Barack Obama, at this point in his presidency, had spent 50,400,000 in golf trips, and Biden, for his entire 4 years, spent 56,600,000 in golf trips. So Trump doubles Biden, doubles Obama. I called him O'Biden. That's Freudian slip. But doubles Obama at the same time of Obama's term, and doubles Biden for the entire 4 years of Biden's term. So interesting numbers. Figured I would leave you guys with that. So until I see you guys again, don't forget to subscribe. Helps out with the channel. Don't forget to share, comment, and let me know if there's anything you guys want me to elaborate on for this week in Trump. See you guys later. Peace.
Thank you for watching this video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.